If you're seeing this right now, I want to tell you something I wish someone had told me sooner. You don't need to keep forcing it. Let it all work out. I know what it's like to cling to the life you think you're supposed to want, to try to control every little outcome out of fear. But what if the very thing you're resisting is actually the thing that will set you free? So I want to share the story of how losing the dream life I built actually ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me, and how surrendering for real brought me more than I ever could have forced. June 2024, almost 12 months ago today, I was living the life I had spent years working for. Dream penthouse in downtown Vancouver, skyline and ocean view, dream truck, six-figure income, working 4 hours a day off my laptop as an e-commerce media buyer and account director, and mountain biking almost every day at some of the best trails of the whole world. I had made more money that year than ever before, and from the outside, it was a perfect picture. But on the inside, I slipped back into one of the darkest depressions I've had in years, and I felt like I had built a cage for myself yet again, and I couldn't understand how I had everything I asked for and yet felt more disconnected and unfulfilled than ever. And it was just driving me nuts. I was mountain biking every day on world-class trails, something I dreamed of doing for years. And even that got boring. After 4 or 5 months, it it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I started smoking weed every single day just to numb myself. I kept saying to myself, you should be grateful. Look at what you have. Don't mess this up, But the truth was I wasn't happy. I wasn't free. I was trying to force peace. I was trying to look for reasons that I should be happy on the inside. Everything on the outside was picture perfect. And I was just so terrified to let this, picture perfect life on paper go, even though on the inside, I just knew it wasn't right for me. And then it happened. Everything changed. So completely out of the blue, I was let go from my contract e-commerce role. 6-minute Google call, no warning, no build up, nothing. And that was it. I just got let go. And I went through pretty much every emotion in the book over the next, even 5-10 minutes, shock, sadness, rage. I just remember sitting on the floor of my penthouse thinking, did I just ruin everything? What is going on? But then a deeper thought came in, and it said, maybe this happened for you. And at the time, I'd been practicing this reality transurfing principles, and I had been journaling and praying for clarity. And I've been asking life to show me the next chapter, show me the next chapter. And now here I was without this job and this security, completely free. I was freaked out, but something told me that this was that call. And it would just showed up completely different to what I had imagined. So I surrendered, not because I had a plan, but because I had nothing left to grip. And in the next 7 days, I decided to say yes to a 2-month business retreat in Mexico, gave notice on my penthouse, started to sell 99% of my belongings, and I finally decided I was going to move abroad. Something I'd always wanted to do, but I never had the guts to do it. And something wild finally happened. I felt lighter. I felt like I was finally getting in touch with Zach. Not e-commerce Zach, not the mask, not the projection, but just me, and I stopped smoking weed. I stopped pretending. And for the first time in a long time, I really just started to feel free again. I started to rediscover my authenticity, which I was losing in this, picture perfect life that I was trying to force myself to, feel like on the inside how it looked on the outside. So after that, I tried to build again, but this time in alignment. So I restarted my own marketing agency built around performance commission-based fees. So not only would I win, but I was able to win alongside my clients. And it was just, equally beneficial. It was smart, it was strategic. I love helping brands scale, but something just still felt off. And every time I tried to scale the agency, I just couldn't, there was just this constant block. And what I realized was I had no passion for building the team, the systems, the sales side, the actual agency side. But during this process, I realized and rediscovered something I did love, which was filming just these type of one-on-one videos, writing, sharing what I was learning. And I started making YouTube videos again, just sharing the real stuff, my journey, my lessons. And even when I have, no views, I just love the process. Like I just feel so good when I make these. And what I realized was this is the business that I'm being called to build. A business around truth, a business around my authenticity, or around service, and around helping people live their authentic life and not just the material one that so many of us, think on paper we'll be happy when. So here's the thing about surrender. It doesn't always mean everything is easy. 6 months in, living abroad, I was burning through savings. I'd rediscovered this passion-based business, but now I was at another crossroad. Do I find a way to monetize this passion? Or do I go back into my high leverage skill set like e-com to support it and let it grow naturally and organically? And I didn't want to abandon this new alignment, but I also needed to be honest about my reality. So funny enough, 3.5 months ago, the universe delivered, and out of nowhere, a new contract opportunity showed up. And it was even more income than I had before, even more freedom. The team and people are even more amazing than the last team. And there was no more client hunting, no more systems, no more agency tasks. I was just back in the role of helping brands scale. And funny enough, this was a paid on commission. So there was a base and then there was this commission component, which is exactly what I tried to build on my own for the reason, because that's what I wanted, except now it was just given to me. Like complete manifestation, which looking in reverse, I was like mind blown when this happened. So now here I am. It's June 2025. I've been living abroad for almost 12 months now, about 8 months in Bali. And yeah, here in Bali, gonna keep going around the world pretty much is the goal. Secure 6-figure plus income, working with amazing clients, full-time freedom. Now I'm making these videos, really feeling lit up about my life and just lit up about my authenticity. Haven't smoked weed in 8 months, getting back in the best shape of my life. And I feel more hopeful than I have in just so long. And I just really feel like myself again. And, again, I just stopped pretending that these material goals and these things were really what I was going after when it wasn't. And I've really started to now chase the authentic life that I know is really meant for me. And the universe, again, has just given me this as a beautiful gift. Even though I completely didn't expect things would pan out how they did, 12 months later, the fact my life is literally how I dreamed it would be on the inside. And now it's that in less than 12 months. So all this to be said, you don't have to figure it all out right now. You just trust your inner voice and let it all work out. Don't force it. There's certain things when you need to go with the flow and trust. And for me, that was one of the hardest things I've had to learn in my journey of life is trusting. You're not going to be the one that's going to put all the perfect pieces together in your life. There's going to be so many things in life, a text message you get, an email, a girl you meet, a friend you meet, all of these things where you couldn't even plan that if you tried to. But when you're looking in the rearview mirror, things make sense. And for so long, I was just not trusting life and trying to control and micromanage and said, hey, if I'm going to become this massively successful person, do all these things, I need to do it. I need to put it on my back and I need to be the one to do everything. And I burnt out. That wasn't it. The more I got, the more I just felt heavier. Even when I literally accomplished a lot of the goals I had set out to, it didn't feel like how I wanted it to feel. And when I learned to surrender and let go and allow the universe to actually bring me things that are so good that I couldn't even have thought of it, is pretty crazy to think. But now that's what I feel like my life has become. And that's why I feel so grateful to be able, to jump on these videos and just share these raw lessons because, I feel like I've really been through that, material path and especially just being a young kid, seeing the online stuff and just, wanting that life and wanting that success but also going crazy on the depression side and going through a really, multiple dark chapters and all of these things and, really discovered, my light and the light of life through this journey. So for me, it's just really a blessing for me to be able to, come into these videos and just share. And the coolest part is I'm still in this journey. I'm still doing this stuff every day. I still am, miles away from where I want to go. But at the same time, I'm getting so much closer to that real authentic and that version of my life that I always wanted on the inside. And I'm really starting to gain those feelings on the inside, those feelings that were my goals when at the time I was setting these external things like, oh, when I have the penthouse, when I have the truck, when I have the girl, when I have the the career, then I'll feel like X. But what I realize now is when we set goals around how we really want to feel on the inside, and we surrender and we really hold that frame, then life can give us these things. But the more we set these rigid goals and be rigid in our approach and really push for things and try and force things, the more we actually lose sight of what is it we really, really, really want, and what is it that's meant for us at the same time. So if you got anything from this video, I'd love for you to subscribe, comment below. We got plenty more on the way. And thanks so much if you made it this far. I love sharing these. I just feel so blessed to be able to make these videos here in Bali right now. And yeah, thank you so much. And I'll see you in the next one. Talk soon.